What's up, internet? We're gonna play some more Crazyhouse chess. So the weird thing about Miley Cyrus is that she's not a great songwriter, in my humble opinion. She's an amazing singer. If you listen to her cover of Dolly Parton's song Jolene, Miley Cyrus's cover of that song is really good. Really good. Okay, here we go. Now, 1 second is not enough of an increment, but we'll take what we can get. I can't really commentate if we're going to be playing 1 second. Sorry. Okay. Wow. I am surprised that the opponent castled into my 3 bishops or whatever, however many bishops I had. 2 bishops and a queen. Okay. That's not right. Oh, goodbye. There's this it's the worst intersection in the universe that I walk through sometimes at night. I can't even explain to you guys how bad this this intersection is. Like, if I explain it to you, you won't believe me. You won't understand. The English language can't express how bad this intersection is. Basically, it's the main street of Berkeley, Shattuck. When it intersects Ward Street, like the perpendicular street, I can't even explain it. There's a walk sign for Ward Street crossing Shattuck, but there's no traffic light. It's just a walk sign with no traffic light. So I guess that, like, it's during the day, the cars are supposed to just see that you're walking and stop. But even during the day, or especially at night, it's like there's a walk sign. There's a freaking walk sign. It's supposed to be safe to walk, and then there's just no traffic light. So there's cars on the main street, driving down the main street, and they're just driving down the main street, and then there's like a person walking because there's a freaking walk sign. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying, because it's so bad of an intersection. But anyway. All right, we might not might not be anyone who's awake to play chess with, unfortunately. We'll have to take what we can get. I wonder if there's like a tournament going on or something. Oh, we have an opponent. Hello. Boot 73. I guess boot 72 was taken. I'm just going to allow the knight to be taken. Guess he didn't want to take it. I don't really have a plan, but I'm should probably play more reasonable moves. I'm sort of hoping that I can like take this bishop, pawn takes, and then bishop check, and I win a pawn. Yes, win a pawn. Alright, whatever. Forget that. So, I'm not totally sure what to do, but I think I want to just sort of stay safe, try to build up some pressure on the king. Not a huge fan of what I've done so far. Here? I am leaving this en pris. Whoops, I hung a knight. That's a bit sad. That'll happen. It'll happen. Queen is like almost trapped, but I guess my main point was just to prevent bishop at d2. These knights are a little precarious in that, like, they this is no good. Bishop is coming to h3. Anyway, these knights, if I can if I could have gotten some sort of double attack, it would be hard to save the knights. But we're in trouble. Not dead, but we're in trouble. Not all dead, only mostly dead. Like if queen's coming here, or queen dropping here, or rook here, I can block with a pawn, and then he's not like immediately killing me. He might just move his queen here, threatening this kind of thing. That might actually be really strong. Oh. Yeah, that also seems strong. Here? I think I just don't really have time to take this otherwise. Like, I think if like I take this, let's see, takes, bishop check, takes, king takes, and then queen at e4 is mate. If I had a knight in hand, I could maybe do this. I can plug this with a pawn or with a bishop. Make a bishop here. Oh. Yeah. It's well played. So bishop here, king here, knight takes, and nearly unstoppable threat of mate. So bishop at g2 is going to be mate. And I don't... Like, the issue is if I go... Oh, I can just drop a bishop at g2 or a pawn. But then h2 is mate. So I think it has to be queen. I mean, this is completely hopeless, but never give up, never surrender. I usually just never surrender, but maybe to be a good streamer, I should surrender sometimes. To not just like boringly drag on a game that's completely lost. It's a good argument. Okay. So this is one of my staple openings. It's nice, pretty solid, pretty simple plan. Just develop, kind of passive in the center, but with black and Crazyhouse, you have to be. Sometimes you have to be a little bit circumspect, like hold back and just get your pieces out, get your king safe ASAP. Otherwise, you can get into trouble pretty quick. So I don't know if this is my thing here is sound, but it's definitely funny. And yeah. I mean, the idea is just as I've said before, in Crazyhouse, king safety is extremely important. Material is not necessarily so important. Initiative and king safety is extremely important. Like you'll see, there's not necessarily a forced trade, but yeah, there's going to be a trade here. And now, because of the trades and because of the king safety, because his king is exposed, I suddenly have some stuff in my arsenal. And there's a ton of pressure, like mate threats everywhere. Like I probably have mate here. Like I think queen here is mate. Queen check. Only moves king here. And then this is mate. And it's just very, very hard to defend because there's so many different attacking possibilities. When the king is exposed, there's a lot of room around the king. That means there's a lot of room for me to drop pieces near the king, checking the king. And it means there's fewer of the opponent's pieces around the king to defend. And this is especially doubly, triply the case if you saw in that last game, like I had a knight and a pawn stuck into my opponent's position. And so it wasn't just that it wasn't just that whole thing about the pieces. It was also that I had a foothold. So I had places to drop, like you saw, like I dropped my queen leading to checkmate. And the reason I could do that was that I had a foothold. Alright, I wasn't super paying attention to this game, which is probably not a good strategy. I think we're gonna be okay, but definitely dicey. Like the thing is, I just don't mind that much about all this. Like my opponent has a foothold or something, and this looks scary, but it's not going to This is like on the opposite side from my king. It's like all the way on the opposite side of the board. And in Crazyhouse, being on the opposite side of the board is like considerably further than in chess. Like in chess, you make a few moves and then you let's see, how do we make them? We've got some kind of nice attack and pressure here, but how do we make the most of this? I can't just take this. Rook takes. If bishop takes, queen takes, what do I have? I have a knight, two knights and a rook, but I'm not really getting in immediately. Well, what if I just go here? So I'm just avoiding losing my pawn, and I'm hopefully dislodging this knight. And we can't take this bishop, otherwise he loses a piece. Okay. Takes. Oh, maybe I should have taken this. Well, I can still threaten that. Possibly I should have dropped a knight here, and then bishop takes, and at least I'm cutting off the king. But I didn't really like using up, like a knight in the hand is it's a scary and powerful thing because it can come anywhere. There's so many different threats. But, once I drop it, I mean, okay, so I get a bishop in hand. That's good. But then he gets a knight in hand. Whereas, so I had a knight in hand, and now he has a bishop in hand. Now he has a knight in hand, and I have a bishop in hand. So I kind of upgraded his piece for free into a piece in hand. So why did I do that? But okay, now there's a lot of air around the opponent's king. I'm wondering if knight check is good. One issue is king here. Could also go bishop. Could also go pawn here, rook here. That doesn't really do anything. Thing is, if bishop takes, queen takes, got this scary threat, and I don't really have anything. I guess bishop takes, queen takes, rook takes. King comes up. Okay, we have to move. Oh, okay, knight takes. Well, now I can get a queen, although I should be really careful. I'm really close to being in trouble, like getting attacked. Let's see, queen here. All right, we're going to be chronically low on time. That's just going to be how it is, I guess. I don't know about this move. I'm blocking off my rook, but I'm getting pressure here. He certainly can't take because then knight takes. Oh, I thought he couldn't really get away with this. Guess we'll find out. Yeah, maybe he is getting away. I mean, come on. I've got a. Problem is this is not with check. That's the problem. Uh-oh. Okay, let's just take this. So he's gonna maybe check on this diagonal. That's a good move. Oh yeah. I just need like one move, and then I think we're okay-ish. We have a fair amount of defense, but I just needed to stop knight at f2 check, followed by a heavy piece coming to h1 with checkmate. So that's why I needed to drop a bishop here. Like, even if takes bishop, so knight here, check, king here. Uh-oh. Is this... I can't even tell what's happening. Am I... Okay, I need to... I just want to take this rook. Just let me take a rook. Queen there. I don't know about that. He's got... Wow. Well, the opponent is playing well, I would say. Oh no, and now this is a mate. Oh my god. This is I'm very annoyed with this game. I can't defend this. It's just very frustrating. Alright, we need to analyze that because that was definitely winning. I think. It was definitely maybe winning. That's disappointing. All right, we're back in our comfort zone. We got a nice classic dropping at h3 attack. We have our structure. Okay. So there's a few different themes that I'm aware of here. One of them is pawn comes to, I drop a pawn on g2, and then I just try to get a heavy at any cost. Like I can sacrifice all my pieces just to get one heavy and then drop it at h1, checkmate. Pretty hard to defend against. Not sure what to do here. Not sure what's good here, but I'm thinking maybe I just sack here. And now, what's the point? Like takes, maybe I just drop a pawn here. I assume he'll take at some point. I guess if he takes with the bishop, I should immediately take the rook with check. Maybe just here. Oh, maybe. Oh, I should have made. So the knight was defending. Like I could have sacked, or given a rook for a knight, hoping to drop it on f3. But that wouldn't have immediately won because knight was defending f3. So now pawn is going to come to f3, probably. Although if he takes with the knight, then we're going to do this first. I certainly don't have a smothered mate because there's pieces defending f2, so I can't drop a rook here. But this king is very close to suffocating. All right. Is this good? This might be bad. Like, I got a knight, but what was the point? Okay, I don't want to get lost here. Oops. I need to, like, turn the screws. I need to keep ramping up the pressure. Possibly I should use a knight to obtain a diagonal piece. I could drop a rook back here. I could trade. I can bring my queen in. None of my options seem stellar. Bishop there. Okay. Ooh, I don't think he should have done that. I think that he's mated. Because we have two rooks. That's a very tricky thing. This is another example of two queens or two rooks. It's like, if I only had one rook, it would be dicey, but might be able to get away with it and run. But if I have two rooks or two queens or a rook and a queen, rook check, king falls back, and then rook at h8 or h1 is checkmate. All right, guess we're going to play some 1 minute. So I'm probably not going to be able to comment quite as well. Just because, too fast. Or too slow. Oh, this is pretty terrible. I have to do this because that would lead to mate. Ugh. Alright, I might be mated with this, but we'll see. Really? That's very surprising. Didn't expect that at all. See, like, I feel like this is probably a winning position. I just don't think that fast, you know? I don't play that fast. Okay, so this is obviously a winning position. I don't know. Like, okay, good job. You like found a check. You found two checks, and you went, okay, good job. Okay, come on. We have to win this. Like, my position's so good. It's ridiculous. Like, is the opponent, is she just like playing bad in order to like play fast? Really gonna go rook here and then like start an attack on me? Okay. Is this like a trick to get me to do this? Oh, maybe it was. Hmm. Jolene, Jolene, Jolene. Hmm. This might be irresponsible or impatient, but I just want to get rid of that pressure. Really? Really? Can I take this? That's kind of funny. Uh-oh. Oh, we're out of time. Okay. All right, good game, I guess. Friendly 0, casual 5-1 standard. I don't. Are you someone who knows me? I don't play standard chess. But thanks for the challenge. Um, please send me a casual. Wait. It's standard chess, right? It's not. I'm not willing to play this variant right now. Yeah. Okay, we've got JFK. J underscore F hyphen K. All right. This is a terrible opening. Why I don't know why I would play this opening. I guess the thing is that it's a funny opening. Um, and always play the funniest move. This is pretty funny. Like, I'm super developed for no reason. May have lost a piece or two, but that's gonna happen. What is this? 2-1 Crazyhouse. Okay, I could play that. Should probably be targeting this square. It's a good move. Come on, target here. Mm. The opponent only has diagonal pieces, so I'm not too scared. So this is kind of a forkish thing. I think this is hopefully going to lead to mate, because he doesn't have to take my bishop. Oh, okay. Well, now I can take all kinds of different things. Now this knight's hanging. I certainly have to watch out for a pawn. He might sack to get a pawn in hand. This is subtly threatening checkmate because I'm cutting off the king. Okay, he stopped checkmate. Alright, we need to play a little faster. Otherwise, gonna lose. Oops. Well, that's not good. Okay, checkmate. Oh, did the challenge leave? Yeah, we could challenge. You could challenge me. You can challenge me and I'll accept. I was in the middle of a game. Friendly, casual, Crazyhouse. Okay. Hello, friendly 0. Are you listening to my stream? Because it's a little bit cheaty. I think that's alright. It's alright if it's casual. If you want to chat, you can shoot me a private message on lichess and I'll send you a chat link. Like if you want me to coach you or something. Are you like an expert Crazyhouse player and this is like a Smurf account? Alright, so I'm watching your stream. Okay, cool. So I'm just going to pressure this. I think my main reason for doing bishop here is to clear up some of these pieces. Like if I just get to trade this, the opponent will have fewer pieces around the king. And there's already some holes around the king, like especially on the dark squares here. So those are going to be vulnerable soon. And right now the back rank was undefended, which lets me get a rook there. There might have been something better, but this way I get a foothold on the back rank, and then it becomes annoying because if the opponent moves the knight from b2, I'll just take the rook on a1. And I think we're kind of up too much material and too much position. I don't actually immediately see a killer blow, but so g6 is like a little tender, but I do have two defenders, the pawn and the knight, so we're not getting busted immediately. And now we have checkmate on g2. Alright, I think we should just give up on this d3 thing because g3, e4, and then d takes e4 just totally busts my position. Now this structure I'm kind of just copying from a John Lee game. If you want really high quality Crazyhouse commentary, check out Jan Lee or John Lee, JANNLEE on YouTube. He's like a world-class OG Crazyhouse player, and he plays, he comments on his own games, his thought process, and he also hosts. He used to, when he was active, he would host the Crazyhouse World Championships, which were very entertaining, very high level Crazyhouse play. Certainly far beyond my level. And those are really fun to watch. And I'm just, my opening structure in this game, I'm just copying from just something I saw Jan Lee play. Now I'm not sure how to attack here. We have some holes in the opponent's position. We have, I think we probably want to just drop this. Pick up a rook. Now the opponent gets the bishop on f4 or not. Okay. Ooh. This is always a nice theme. The bishop cutting in and making a space for the rook to deliver a check or checkmate. Now it's very strange, like when I started playing Crazyhouse, you see the more advanced players as black letting white just take with a pawn, take the knight on f6. To be honest, I don't feel like I actually understand why it's good or why it's okay, but it's sort of just a brute fact that it is okay. I think basically part of what's happening with why it's okay to lose a knight like that is just that in Crazyhouse having pieces is important. Having pieces in hand ready to drop onto the board is just useful, whatever the pieces, because whatever the piece is, it's like at least you have a piece, so you can get the wide range of like there's like a wide range of possibilities where you have lots of squares you could drop on, lots of ways to attack using the piece in your hand, because you can drop it anywhere. And so even just having a piece is valuable. And so it's like, in chess, if I lose my knight, well, I've lost a knight. It's a whole knight that I've lost. But in Crazyhouse, if I lose a knight and get a pawn, well, at least I have a pawn in hand. I could have a knight in hand instead, and that would probably be better usually in most situations. But I don't think I'm explaining this well, but it's sort of every piece sort of gets bumped up in value just because it's a piece. And so the relative, like maybe like a pawn is 2 points and a knight is 4 points instead of a pawn being 1 point and a knight being 3 points or something like that, So that's one reason that might be kind of okay to lose the knight for a pawn. The other reason is kind of just in that opening position, it's just really valuable to get castled quickly. And so it's worth it to be able to move your knight up from G2 to G8 to F6, even if it means that you end up sacking the knight. It's just really valuable to get it out of the way of your king so you can castle, because king safety is so absolutely crucial in Crazyhouse. And a third reason might be that you're by taking on F6, so white takes E4, E5 takes the knight on F6, and then pawn on E7 takes the pawn on E7 takes back the pawn on F6, and that means now you have this nice solid protective structure around your king, and that's valuable. And you kind of get like a half-open e-file. Anyway, so those are some reasons that it's okay to... I missed checkmate in 1. Probably should have played checkmate in 1. Could do it now. Okay, let's try something a little bit silly. I say it's silly, but I don't actually know if it's probably quite bad to play this way, but I'm not actually like 1,000% sure. The idea with this A4 and then rook A3 thing, at least my reason for it, I mean, it is silly, but like the reason is that got a checkmate there. The reason is that the rook on A1, like pretty often in Crazyhouse, you'll just get a pretty often in Crazyhouse you'll end up with the rook that's on the side you didn't castle on. It ends up just being totally useless. Like it just sits there all game, because Crazyhouse is so like fast paced and double edged and everything. You don't have time to move that rook. And so it ends up being worth it to it can end up being worth it to kind of sack the rook. or not sack, but trade the rook for something. This is a bit unfortunate for the opponent because the knight can't move and also defend h1. So I guess the opponent could go rook at h1 to prevent queening. You like my stream. Thank you. Thanks for tuning in. Hope you're not trying to butter me up, because I'm not going to let you win just because you say nice things. Just teasing. So I was worried there. I didn't want to give Friendly Zero any ideas, but I was a bit worried about Friendly Zero could have sacrificed on f7, rook takes f7. It was probably wasn't good in this situation. Maybe didn't actually have an opportunity, but allowing the opponent to sack on f7 is usually or very often quite bad, because rook takes f7, or bishop in the opening, like bishop takes f7 or knight takes f7 even, things just get really hairy really quickly, because first of all, your opponent has taken a pawn, so your opponent has a pawn. Of course, you could take back, and then it's technically like a sacrifice. But you take back, and now your king is up. So your king is up on f7. You've lost castling rights. Your pawn is now gone from f7, and that means that these squares g6 and e6 are not defended by your pawn. Hopefully you have some other defense, but not necessarily. Okay, well, here's another opportunity for a sack on f7. And then also, furthermore, so there's like vulnerabilities on g6 and e6, and then there's also vulnerabilities potentially like knight coming to g5 or e5, checking the king and forcing the king to either come even further up or fall back and be really constrained. Like right now, the opponent can't play this, but if you imagine knight dropping from hand to g5, check, and then if I went back to g8, the pawn would just come to f7, checkmate, which is a really pretty mate. But it's not pretty if you're playing the black pieces. Now I could go rook check on f2. I don't think that's that good. So I'm sort of stalling. Okay, I'm going to have to actually be quiet a little bit. And the reason is that we are playing with a very short increment, only 1 second, which doesn't give much time to think about one's moves. Double check. 2 checks for the price of 1. I feel we're very close to mate, but there we go. That was a fun game. So I'm avoiding, I'm just leaving this tension here. I mean, if he takes, yeah, okay, so If the opponent takes, then I get to develop my knight. And the same was true in the other direction if I took knight takes. You always want to be careful about. It's a strange thing, but somehow it's just these pawns on c7 and f7 or c2 and f2. They really don't want to move in a lot of positions. I guess it's the Ben Feingold rule. Yeah, never play f6. Never play f6 or c6, really. The issue is just like these pawns are guarding these these tender squares on b6, d6, e6. Like they're both guarding these squares on the sixth rank, and they're also just occupying squares on the seventh rank. So right now there's a hole where the opponent has moved the c7 pawn. There's now a hole there. Where there used to be a pawn there, but if you move the pawn off of a square, it's a little hard to understand. But if you move a pawn off of, if you move a piece off of a square, if you move a pawn off of a square, so most pieces when you move the piece, this is something Jan Lee talks about. Most pieces, if you move the piece off of a square, you're still defending that square. Like I moved my knight from b1 to c3, but my knight can, like, moves are normally reversible. My knight is still attacking b1. So you like move a piece, but you're still defending the square where you came from. But with a pawn, that's not true. You move a pawn, unless you queened the pawn or something. You move a pawn, now it doesn't defend the square that it came from. So if you move your c2 or c7 or f2 or f7 pawns, they give up defense on the 6th rank, and they stop occupying the 7th rank. And so you see, like, I'm targeting that square. Like all this sequence with my getting my bishop on d6 and trading the bishop, all that stuff, this was all me, like, maneuvering just to get a diagonal piece to drop on c7, and it's kind of devastating. So here, we're winning, but just to be precise, it's good to have these precise things here. So I could just take the rook, and that would be winning, but I can actually force mate here. So we go queen check. Something is going to drop on e7, and then it's pinned. So even if he drops the rook, it's pinned. It does not defend e7, and now we check. He must move the king, and then the opponent must move the king, and then I can take the undefended piece on e7 and f7, or e8 and f8 for checkmate. Hi, or you too, whatever. I like these little chat buttons on lichess. It's very I don't want to say autistic, because that word is has had its meaning sort of smeared out. But like, if I have trouble communicating, it's nice to have these buttons that are like, here's the things you should say in this situation. Oh, is friendly? Did we lose you? There we go. So the opponent is targeting my f7 square. That's a good idea. I think I'll just have to stop that. So I'm okay with this because I got my development. Ooh, nice. Yeah, this is pretty annoying, so I'm going to have to... Oh, you know what happened? I normally wouldn't play on the... I normally wouldn't play the king side. I normally wouldn't get the king side rook out, but my opponent played the king side rook out, and I imitated my opponent. So now we both have our king side rooks gone, and now the opponent's putting pressure on my back rank. So I better try to get castled as fast as I can. The opponent might even sack on f7, which is... I'm not sure if it's good in this situation. Like, it is definitely scary for my king. The thing is, I just feel I have a good amount of pieces around my king at the moment. So for example, this bishop on f5 is defending the g6 and c6 squares. So a common thing that could happen would be, like, if this bishop weren't here, then the opponent might drop a pawn on c6 or g6. That's sort of quite a common theme in Crazyhouse, where you're it's like a fishing expedition or something, where you're making your opponent's king run out into the middle of the board by dropping like pawns to deliver a check. And then if the king falls back, you've gained a foothold right next to the king. You're defending a square right next to the king with your piece, and that starts to give you an attack. And conversely, if the king takes the piece that you checked with, the king is coming up into the middle, and that's very, very dangerous. So I'm doing this little maneuver here to... the thing is, now I've disrupted my opponent's ability to castle, and my opponent's king is kind of blowing in the wind a little bit here. So it's actually very dangerous for the opponent. I think it's pretty close to just busted. I think we have checkmate here. Pawn to f2 is going to be mate. So it's a nice little theme. Hello, good luck. It's a nice little theme where if you have a bishop check and the king doesn't have a good place to run to, then the opponent's going to have to block, and then that always gives you the option immediately to take the blocker. Now, often that doesn't really matter because, for example, like if I dropped a bishop here on b5 check, and then the opponent dropped a pawn on c6 to block, it's like, yeah, I can take the pawn on c6, but the opponent just takes back, no problem. But when the opponent, in that previous situation, it was like bishop check, and there was nothing supporting. My opponent had no pieces supporting the intermediate squares between the bishop and the king, and my opponent didn't have to, but wanted to drop a piece in order to block. And that meant when I took with the bishop, basically not forced, but the only plausibly good option was for the opponent to take back, which draws the king up. So there's just sort of always this dynamic where you always want to avoid having your king being drawn up into the middle of the board. So right now I have a somewhat awkward position. I'm like up a fair amount of material. I'm up, I guess, a pawn and then like a queen for or a queen and a piece for a rook or something. So I'm going to do this. I'm expecting the opponent to go h5, knight to h5 in order to defend the bishop and preserve the knight from getting taken. The opponent could just opt to allow me to take. Yeah. That was probably the right option because, I mean, both, this is still bad for the opponent, or good for me, I mean, but I think if knight had gone to h5, then bishop takes bishop, knight takes bishop. I probably would have dropped my bishop back onto f6, even though the opponent had a pawn on e7. So pawn on e7 takes, pawn on g5 takes back. And now my pawn's attacking their knight, and and the king was still in the center. It would have just been like a real mess for my opponent's king safety. And right now, you see, I have no attack in the immediate future. I'm gonna have to develop and maneuver and figure out how to get some sort of attack or something at some point. So I'm just trying to get rid of this rook. I don't know about this. I don't know about this sacrifice. I think that was probably quite too much of a material loss. Material does matter a little bit. Don't get me wrong. Material is important. Like right now, I just have all the pieces. I think that my opponent sort of has no hope of winning, really, unfortunately. Because, like, where's your pieces? What am I doing? How do I end this decisively? Maybe here? Ooh. Yeah, so I don't think this sacrificing the knight. I think that my opponent should have just, well, thanks for the games, Friendly Zero. That was fun. I think my opponent should have just, with the rook on a1, should have just, like when I dropped my knight to b6, or to b3, attacking the rook, my opponent should have just cashed out, taken the bishop on c1. It's a bit of a lame bishop. It's not a very important piece, but at least gotten a bishop for the rook, and then proceeded to maybe build an attack or develop. But just sacrificing, I think it was a knight for a pawn and a rook, and that just tipped the material balance way too far, and there was not much to play for after that. All right, it's been somewhat over an hour. Probably will wrap up soon. Just gonna see if there's anyone out there who wants to play 1+6. Anyway, I don't know if still don't really know if I'll stream much. I think basically I'm just streaming because it's, well, I like playing Crazyhouse sometimes, and I guess it's more fun to talk about the games and share the experience with anyone who wants to tune in. And this way I don't, this way I kind of like focus for an hour and a half, really scratch the itch to play Crazyhouse, and then I don't feel like I need to play randomly throughout the day. All right, we have 3 plus 0. So there's no increment, which is incorrect for Crazyhouse. But when life gives you lemons, you make do. Okay, so yeah, this is this sack on f7 and start attacking me. So I'm not, I think I'm like okay-ish right now in that, wow. Seriously? All right, I don't know. This might be, I mean, maybe I'm just busted. Okay, I didn't see that. All right, well, we're slightly completely screwed. Okay, checkmate. Wow. So that's why you don't allow a sacrifice on f7. Oh, did my opponent leave? Why? My opponent offered a rematch and then left. It's a bit strange. All right. Well, good game. I mean, I didn't play very well, but it was funny, which is important. Oh, we never looked at this game from earlier. Yeah, so I was completely winning. But then around here, I just kind of like flubbed or like didn't see how to proceed. Okay, so the computer thinks that this one was fine. King here. What's the point of bishop here? Oh my goodness, that's very interesting. Wow. I don't fully understand it yet, but I think the computer's idea is you cause the opponent to expend a bishop. Why can't the opponent just drop a knight though? What? Oh no, that wasn't the point. The point is to okay, I think what's happening is the bishop is defending g4, which prevents. That's very interesting. We'll come back to that after we play KP 13, rated 1889. 1889. That's a good year. That's when Nietzsche published. I'm just kidding. I don't know what happened in 1889. Nietzsche probably published something in 1889. No. Okay. He published in 1888, he published like 8 things, and then in 1889, he didn't publish anything. Okay. Excuse me. 1888 is The Case of Wagner, Götterdämmerung, Twilight of the Idols, Der Antichrist, aka the Antichrist, and Ecce Homo, and Nietzsche contra Wagner. Oh wait, was this posthumous? When did he die? 1900. Okay, so not posthumous. Well, it might have been posthumous. Maybe those dates were the dates when those works were written rather than when they were published. Anyway. All right, what's the situation here with good old Crazyhouse? So I'm going to do something I said not to do, which was play f3. And the reason is just I really don't like having exposure on e4. And I have some defense on the dark squares with my bishop here, so it's not terrible. I think I'm going to go d4 here, shut this bishop down. This bishop I'm not really scared of. Doesn't seem like it's doing too much right now. And now this is a common little motif of knight coming to h5. Knight comes to the flank. Ooh, so I think we probably are going to sack a knight here. We could also take this. No, then rook takes. Do we have something better? Or is this good? Go bishop here, then pawn. Would I rather sack a knight or a bishop? I think I'm okay with ending up with a bishop because it can check on this diagonal. So I think we're going to go check. And the point of this is basically just... Well, okay. I was going to say disrupt castle. This is probably a good decision by the opponent. Oh, no, I should have... Okay, the bishop can escape. No. All right. Whoa. Oh, my goodness. I was not paying attention. I think we're okay. I think this is not so bad, but that I should not have... Definitely shouldn't have allowed that without knowing that it was coming. So I just want to kick this knight away. Ooh. Okay. Should I take the knight or should I... Let's see. Takes. I don't see anything terrible if I just sidestep this. Like, I could have taken the knight. That would have been perfectly fine because pawn takes. Pawn takes, queen takes, and I got a knight and a pawn for a rook and no major problems. Okay, so now we have a nice threat here, dropping the knight on e7, getting a fork, picking up a rook. My plan has been to hit on the c7 square. I think we should just take a rook. Why not? We always have to keep an eye out for this square. So this is fine. I don't mind this one bit. The thing is, I assume this is maybe also true in chess, but definitely in Crazyhouse, a knight next to the king is sort of a friend, is the expression. Because the knight next to the king is not checking the king, first of all. Second of all, the knight next to the king is taking up a square next to the king, if you see what I mean, to where so that the opponent cannot immediately drop a piece on that square. The knight would have to move first, because if you see what I mean, there's already a piece there. And finally, the knight is not attacking all that many squares next to the king. Like, it's just this one to the hypothetical square on the other diagonal. Like, mostly the knight is not... Like, if you imagine like a bishop next to the king, well, I suppose it's also only attacking two squares, but... I guess that's not the point. Maybe the point is more like... Yeah, really the thing about the knight is that if you drop a piece on the square that the knight is attacking, you don't actually you don't defend the knight. That's part of the point. By which I mean, if you drop a like if you have a knight next to your king, so you have your king and you have a knight. The opponent has a knight here to attack. So the squares next to the king that the knight is attacking would be like here and here if the knight was down here. But if you drop a piece with check, like a bishop or a queen on those squares, that bishop or queen does not defend the knight that's sitting next to the king. So the king can just take the knight often if the knight's not defended. Whereas, like, if you have a bishop or a rook next to the king, or I guess a bishop next to the king, yeah, if you have like a rook diagonally next to the king, or a bishop that's orthogonally next to the king, and you drop a piece with check, some of the pieces you could drop will then check the king and defend the rook or the bishop that's sitting next to the king. So that allows you to build up a really strong attack. I guess I take here, so I threaten. So I attack g2. So he could not step back because that would have been mate. Like if so, there's a knight here and a pawn here. So check, king comes back. Knight h3 check, king to h1, and then drop a pawn on g2 is checkmate. That was a good move. Yeah, so I used my queen to try to cut the king off, but then he has dropped a pawn on e3, allowing the king to escape this way. It's a good move. Pretty good. So I don't know how to proceed here with a good attack, and the reason is that I don't see how to prevent the opponent from escaping this way. It would be possible to drop a queen here, check, followed by, if the opponent drops a blocker on g4, I can take it. But that's kind of expensive, and I still don't even see how to stop the king from reversing course. I think I'm just going to develop my rook. So knight check. King here. Pawn here. Well, gotta do something. This is sort of random. I guess I'm just trying to trade off that knight. I just wanted to trade off this bishop to make his king more vulnerable. Okay, now what? I'm not playing this super well. Yeah, this is quite a mess. the reason this is a mess is actually material. If I had like a piece or two or three, then I could just keep attacking. Oh, maybe I should have... Man, yeah, probably should have... But as it stands, I have very little material. And so his king is exposed, but it doesn't really matter if it's exposed if I can't take advantage of that. Another thing is that, like, right now, the only pieces on the board are bishops. The only pieces my opponent has are bishops, pawns, and then rooks. I don't really see how to get at the rooks. I suppose I could drop a pawn on g2. Then rook here, and then... That's not bad, actually. Maybe I should do that. Alright, let's try it. Oh, well. Well, I was going to say that it would be hard for me to pick up something other than a bishop or a pawn, and just having bishops and pawns is not a great situation in terms of being able to attack. I need to worry about king safety a little bit. Like, this is opening up a little bit of a vulnerability. So, for example, knight at g4 would put a non-trivial amount of pressure. I would probably start to defend, like maybe drop a bishop on g5 to defend some of my dark squares. I think we're okay at the moment. I think our attack is pretty good. Like, it's nice to have this engine of just converting pawns into pieces. I'm just loading up on some pieces right now. Just going to take the opportunity to get a check with my knight. See, now I'm checking and defending. So the knights are all defending each other. And we're getting the king real exposed. It's almost checkmate. If I had one more piece, I would have checkmate. Wait, maybe I do have mate. The issue is basically just king is going to come to... King's going to come to b4, and I can't immediately mate. What I can do is I can take this pawn, and now I'm threatening a bishop coming to a3 with check. Then it's not immediately mate because king... Yeah, okay. So we're not immediately mating because I have all these knights near around my opponent's king, which is not actually good for attacking, as we discussed. But I don't think he could... I think this is mate if he takes. Yeah, checkmate. So I'll wrap up soon, maybe just a couple more games. Oh, okay, the opponent has disappeared or aborted. Well, that was a fun session of Crazyhouse. Thanks to anyone who tuned in. Thanks to Friendly Zero for the challenge and the games. Take care, everyone. And always call your... Never forget to tell your government representatives to ban artificial general intelligence research. Don't forget. All right. Love you. Bye.